sponsored by Apex Entertainment.
Hi, everybody. Welcome into the Orange Zone podcast. So happy to be here at Apex Entertainment. We have an amazing crew for you here today. Ashley Wenskowski, of course, my partner in crime. We have James Mungro, former SU football legend. And we have Deon Maddux, who's a part of the Syracuse football staff right now. Want to thank Apex, our partners in crime, on this entire operation, and everyone who decided to show up. Really appreciate you all being here. Hi, everybody. How are we feeling today? Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
All right, Deon, I want to start with you a little bit. If you could just, give your background a little bit so everybody kind of understands your ties to Syracuse.
I wanted to introduce Deon. Really,
all right, Mungro.
All right, Mungro has something to say.
Deon's a legend. Deon graduated in '96, Syracuse alumni. He led the team in '96 in receptions. He was number one. His football number was number one, and he's been an inspiration to all the young guys that came up, including myself. I remember watching him on TV and saying, wow, look at this dude here fly. And he's coaching here with Syracuse and making his team great again.
I like it.
And what about you, Maddux?
Maddux. He didn't say I was from Tampa, Florida, so shout out to my people down in Tampa, Florida. Happy to be here. Got here in 1992. Majored in finance. All the stuff that you're supposed to do, I was kind of one of those good guys. Had an opportunity to be here in the era where Coach Pasqualani was the coach. Donovan McNabb was the quarterback, and so on, Marvin Harris, all those guys. So I got a chance to be amongst some phenomenal people, and I'm happy to be back.
Well, we're happy to have you. Just so you guys know, Lawrence Moten, also in the house. He's going to be coming on when we talk about Syracuse basketball a little bit later. Hi, Ashley. How we doing?
Hello, everyone. Deon, we're so happy to have you here today. I know we were just talking a little bit about it before the show, but as somebody who went to Syracuse, who's been around this program for 20, 30 years, and now who's someone who is working on Fran Brown's staff, we're going to get into it. We're going to get into all the numbers, but just walk us through this year. I mean, what a journey it was.
Wow. Great year.
Yeah.
Well, good year, because you know what? One of the things that Fran has brought is that he's an ultimate competitor. And so we compete at everything. So as you begin to think about what did we do this year, we started off last 24, we started off just working our butts off January, February, March. We outworked people early in the year. And that's one of the things that Fran brought, and we worked on a different level. And so it then came to the season. We were able to demonstrate that type of work and that type of toughness. And so D-A-R-T, Dart, that's really what he lives, and that's really what we're about.
Would you say that was the biggest transition? Obviously, you have seen multiple eras of Syracuse football, but from the Dino Babers to the Fran Brown era, in your mind, was that kind of the biggest shift?
Well, absolutely. If you actually know what Dart stands for, he brought about a level of being detailed. And so the details matter in every single thing you do on the field and off the field, whether it's the kids going to class or kids being at breakfast check, you got to be detailed about it. Even the things that you write and present to him have to be very detailed. And he holds everyone accountable. I'll tell you a quick story if you let me.
We'd love to hear it.
So I told him this. I let America know. He tried me. I told him, Coach, you tried me. But he didn't try me. He just wanted me to be better than I was. Mm-hmm. And he was like, listen, you got to start working out, man.
No.
Like, look, man. Listen.
We heard the coaching staff was working out. I wasn't sure if you were a part of that. I heard that there's alarms for push-ups. I heard a lot of things.
I wasn't a part of it at one time, not at the level that I should.
But now you're in.
Oh, listen. Well, he helped me to make sure I was in.
I love that.
And it was challenging because I'm like, man, I'm grown. But it was for my own good. Yeah. And that's what he's about, making sure everyone gets better and do what's best for themselves, because if you won't do what's best for you, how are you going to do what's best for the team?
No, it's such a great point. And I mean, obviously people and fans know a lot of the numbers, right? 10-win season, you guys go to a bowl game and win a bowl game. So much excitement around the program. It culminates in this amazing game against Miami where you guys take them down as well. We just want to know what it's been like coaching alongside Fran Brown. What is it that's made this first year so special?
It's the men. It's the men that he brought along with him. Fran Brown is special in and of himself, in his own right. He's a special dude, obviously. You know, if you look at his background and his history and where he's been and the things that he's accomplished. But to come here and bring along Jeff Nixon, Coach Robinson to lead the offense and defense, So he brought the right people with him. And so it's bigger than Fran, but Fran was the catalyst and the visionary to bring us all good, solid men that genuinely care about young men together that work their butt off. And that no one's really worried about the credit, and Fran definitely is not. And so that's exciting. That's the difference. You got a group of good men together that want to work hard together for each other. And for Syracuse, he says nothing's bigger than the S, and nobody lives that and loves that more than me and Mungro.
I think we've seen the. I'll let you go. Do you want to go? Go ahead. I can tell you were doing good. Go ahead.
What would you say the biggest difference from Babers and the team's attitude to now?
The level of toughness. That's the biggest difference. You gotta be tough. You can't have thin skin. You gotta have thick skin.
Yeah.
You gotta be willing to work. And if you're not gonna make it.
Gotcha.
And
I like that.
That's what it comes down to.
I like it. You're holding everybody accountable, and that's number one rule: accountability.
Yeah.
I think what stuck out to me this season as well was just kind of the attitude around acting like you should be there, right? Like when Syracuse took down Miami at home, obviously the sixth ranked team in the country at the time. You come in, you talk to Fran Brown afterwards, you talk to Kyle McCord, the players, and they're not surprised that that's what happened. You expected to win every single game.
Well, you're absolutely right, but that's what we lived before.
Right.
So I've lived that life before. You know, when I think of this, when I think of Coach Fran, I think of there's two coaches in Syracuse history that had 10 wins in their first season. One was Paul Pasqualani, who I played for, and one, Fran Brown, who I now work for. And so it's just amazing to be a part of both of those eras.
I was going to say, what an amazing story just for you to be a part of both of those eras of Syracuse football. I think there's no denying the fact that this is maybe some of the most exciting times for Syracuse football in its entire history. And one thing that I thought Mungro brought up a lot, as obviously our weekly guest, is the culture in general. You bring up Dart, that's obviously a big part of it, but Mungro, for you, what had you so excited about the culture that you saw this season?
It's just the whole attitude with the players. I mean, with Fran coming here to Syracuse, he brought just an attitude of winning. And, you know, what Deon is saying is, you know, Deon's a winner. Deon's been on winning teams. So he brought different coaches in that are used to winning. And getting that attitude related to the players and getting them the winning attitude, it's nothing but up, you know, going up, and that's what they did, and I was really proud to see that happen this year.
I think another big difference this year, and you can let me know if you agree with this, Deon, was the level of transparency that Fran Brown brought, right? You felt like in every single press conference, he wasn't hiding anything. He was brutally honest to the point of blunt sometimes. But I think the fan base and the city really bought into that because you can tell it's not like he's trying to hide anything. It's just a transparent, forthcoming attitude.
He's absolutely going to shoot it straight.
Yeah.
He's going
Right.
to tell you like it is.
So I have
Told him to work out.
I have two big questions. First question is this: does Coach Brown have somebody next to him on the plane? Is he by himself on the plane, or does he have
Here we go, Mungro.
Maybe
I'm
Where
the
you
trying
at
to
it?
hear
travel routine.
That's
We're
what we're
talking
talking
about the travel routine.
the travel routine? Yes.
The simple answer is yes, he has somebody next to him.
Okay.
You're not going to tell us who it is, are you?
Well, next question.
The next question is what everybody wants to know from Syracuse is who is going to replace. You can answer that for me. Who's going to replace who? The quarterback.
Oh, that
The quarterback.
That's what you're talking
quarterback. Yeah, the quarterback led the team. I mean, it seemed like when Kyle was here, Kyle had control of the whole team, and that was something that's very hard to get your first year. And he was able to do that, and that's very surprising. The accomplishments that he did, only being here for 1 year. So, who's taking his place?
We'll have to see. I don't know at this time. Nobody knows at this time. Spring ball's coming. I think the other thing that's
So who are the pretenders?
Oh, the contenders. We have a number of quarterbacks. We have Mike Johnson.
Yes.
Mike Johnson's one of the guys who was Kyle's backup last year.
Okay.
As everyone knows, we got a guy from LSU, Ricky Collins. We brought in quarterback Luke. We brought in the quarterback Rich. You're making me forget the fifth guy.
No, but see, that's good, though, because we have a lot of guys there that's going to be able to compete for that starting job there.
My man Jakari.
Okay.
So that
Say
Jakari.
Can't forget about Jakari.
So no, can't forget about him. Can't forget about him. So that's the 5 that I think of off the top of my head.
That's good that we have 5 quarterbacks that are going to be able to compete. And another thing that's good too is that coach is not just naming a quarterback. He's going to have them,
No, they got to go. No, listen, that's one of the first things I said. Coach Fran is ultra competitive.
Okay.
And so you got to compete. You talk about bringing an attitude of winning. I'm going to play the best man.
Like that.
And that's what he's about.
Yes.
And you obviously you saw it last year, but last year's over. But he's going to play the best guy. Right. And that's what happens in every room at Syracuse football.
And we saw how instrumental McCord was to that offense. Obviously, it was monumental to bring him in Fran Brown's first season. But with no McCord next year, like we're talking about, it's the nation's best passing offense. A lot of that is attributed to McCord, but you also have the offensive coordinator, Jeff Nixon, who just today, ESPN reported, signed an extension to continue to stay here. What can you say about Nixon and what he brought to this offense?
Super professional. You think about 28, 29 years in the profession, super experienced at the college level, at the professional level. And then not only Nixon, but think about this now, is Nixon, and then our pass game coordinator, y'all know that name? Ross Douglas.
Wide receivers coach.
Pass game coordinator.
I understand.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, so it's a combination of that, and then you put together with the co-offensive coordinator, Mike Johnson, who coached Michael Vick and coach. So we got all this NFL experience and all of this college experience and guys who don't have an ego, so we can all put the brain trust together, and then that's what you have. We go forward in that way of having an outstanding offense. But Kyle's gone, but Jeff Nixon's still here.
Exactly. And before we move on from Kyle, because I know we're looking towards the future a little bit, but just how special was it to witness that season? I mean, breaks the ACC single-season passing yards record. To be that close, to see all of that, how special was that for you?
It's very special. I mean, I just smile as I think about it because I know what's to come. I've seen it before. I've been there before. I know what Coach Fran is doing because I sit in meetings with him every single day. I know when he's praying for the team. I know all the things that go on, and I know how our faith is so important. And so because of those things, I know where we're going, and it just makes you smile and wonder, hey, what's next? What's next?
And I'm happy that you bring that up because, of course, that's what we want to talk about is what's next. You look at next year's schedule, it's a gauntlet. It really is. You have Tennessee on there. You have Clemson, SMU. I mean, it goes on and on and on. Miami. How are they going to replicate that success? You say you're so excited because you know what's to come. But are there more 10-win seasons in the future with that kind of schedule to play?
Of course there is. You still have the same leadership. You're bringing in great players every year. You look at the guys that we're bringing in, they're outstanding players, outstanding young men who have faith. Faith and hard work. We'll be fine.
Well, you also talked about, the competitiveness that Coach Brown has. And I want to go back to that for a minute because I do wonder, obviously there's going to be a competition this year at quarterback, but just from knowing Fran Brown and being around him, do you get the sense that no one's spot is ever safe in essence?
Oh, absolutely. I do get the sense. I've seen it. I know it. I live it.
And how does that change a team?
It changes a team because it makes everyone raise their standard. The standard is never the same. Today's standard is not enough for tomorrow. So when we get in there tomorrow, it better be better than today. Because that's exactly what he wants to see, and that's what he's going to get.
Like, let's just take a beat to at least appreciate that. That's the kind of leader that Syracuse football and really all Syracuse programs need, is a leader who is demanding success, demanding your 100% or close to it every single day. Quite honestly, I, as a former athlete, would have loved to play for a coach like that who is always making you compete because then you always feel like you're bringing your 100%. It's good to feel a little pressure sometimes. People don't get that.
Well, you absolutely got to bring it. But it's not just, the thing is, you got to take a look at Jeff Nixon. He's the same way. Ross Douglas, he's the same way. Mike Johnson, the tight ends. Look at, obviously, OG did his thing, and Dan Villard. I mean, those guys are the same way. Mike Johnson wants to have the best room. Ross Douglas the wide receivers, we are going to have the best room. So that's what it is. That's what it is.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting to hear you say that, right? Because we touched on the transparency, but when Fran, at the end of the year, he won the Paul Bear Bryant Newcomer Coach of the Year Award, the Football Writers Association of America Newcomer First Year Coach of the Year Award, and at every turn, he's so eager to thank and give accolades to his staff and say, you know, there's all this hype around this, there's all this hype around Fran Brown, but it really does take a village, and that's kind of what you're describing in terms of the coaching staff and the culture that he's created there.
You know, most people outside of football say he gets it. That's what it is. He gets it. He understands what makes him super successful. It's not just him. It's his belief and his faith, his hard work, his competitiveness, his bringing in being detailed, accountable, but the R is relentless. You got to be relentless. You got to be relentless, and he keeps going.
You know, Coach Brown reminds me a lot like Coach Dungy, you know, with the respect he has from the players and the fans and everything else like that, and the culture he brings, and the ability, what you were saying, accountability is so big. And let's talk about the defense a little bit, if you don't mind. How's the defense look?
They're looking good. I mean, but we compete against them, so I mean, they're looking good enough, but we're gonna dominate them.
Now, did we get any bigger guys up front? Get some meat up front?
Absolutely.
Some meat.
We got big guys. We got everything we need to be successful.
Good.
We just got to put in the work, and we did that today. So today we did, and tomorrow we got to do it again. But we got to take it up a notch.
So currently, right now, is the team doing like winter agilities? Do they have that still, or how's?
You know what it is, bro. It don't stop. So
early in the morning, waking up.
Y'all know.
Getting around the track.
Get out there and get going. Get running and lifting. You got to get bigger, faster, stronger.
That's it.
Every single day, you got to get bigger. You got to get faster. You got to get stronger.
Okay.
And so we're putting in the work.
Let's do it.
I appreciate the fact that you brought up not only just transparency, but the fact that he wants to, Coach Brown that is, give credit to everyone who has been a part of this journey. And I'll tell you when I realized that for the first time, I saw it with my own eyes, was at the dart party when they were trying to raise money for the program. And he took, I'd say around 30 to 45 minutes introducing every single member of the staff. Most people and most coaches, even most leaders, just wouldn't do that kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Well, he lives it. See, that's the difference. Some people talk it, he lives it. And so he lives that everyone matters. He lives that everyone has value. He lives that all of us are in this together. And so that's why he would bring up every single guy that's there to say, hey, you have value in this program, and you're helping us get to where we're trying to go.
In terms of someone who also deals with the alumni relations side of things, we have obviously alumni here tonight, the NFL Alumni Association, some members here in Central New York. How have you seen the conversations shift around the alumni after 1 year?
Phenomenal. I probably should let I should let Mungro talk about that.
Well, we know Mungro's thoughts.
Well,
look at him smiling ear to ear. He was so pissed off last year when we did this podcast.
He was last year. That's what it was. Well, this year he's not because alumni are welcome. He has welcomed every alumni back. They know, and they should know, and they do know because I talked to them. I mean, I could show you my phone. I talked to Dan Conley this week, or via text. I text Robert Drummond, Marvin Graves.
Yeah.
I mean, just the list goes on and on of who we communicate with on a frequent basis now.
Yep.
And not only that, the alumni that come back to practice the week of the game, the outings that they have planned down the road. So alumni are bought in because they believe in what we have.
We believe.
And I was lucky enough to attend an event over the summer for the NFL Alumni Association, and that's what those sentiments are some of what those guys echoed as well. Dan Conley, Rob Drummond saying that when Fran got this job, he was literally calling them up on the phone the next day at 6 in the morning, wanting their input, wanting them around the program. It was no longer this veiled curtain, so to speak.
Yeah, listen, he invites them back to practice. Listen, I'm sure everyone, I mean, Kirby Darter, just different guys. They come to practice. Jason Walters, they come to practice. It's open to him. He's always there for them. They have his number. I mean, that's the thing that's, I mean, unbelievable that every one of them should have his number.
Right.
And if they don't, they can get it.
Right.
I appreciate that accessibility. Here's the other thing. It's not just him being accessible to the players. I think we'd be remiss if we didn't at least appreciate for a moment what he's done and contributed to the community. Syracuse is a community, to be honest, that deals with some struggles, some real challenges that they face. Coach Brown obviously understands some of that from the background that he comes from, and it's been well documented. He talks about it frequently. Having a guy who came from a place like Camden, who has been through some struggles personally, do you think that has helped, or how do you think that's helped to contribute to his success now on the field?
Well, he understands what the struggle is.
Yeah.
He understands the struggle. He understands what it's like to come from a city similar to Syracuse. But not only him, the other guys from South Jersey, with the number of players that we have from Jersey. And if you think about when Syracuse was really, really successful before, we had a number of guys from Jersey, period. And just do your history on it. You can go back to championship teams. Championship teams have guys from Jersey on it. And they have guys from everywhere. And I'll never downplay Florida. I mean, absolutely, that's going to happen too. But, Fran really understands, and I'm proud to say this. One of my job responsibility is to kind of logistically manage how we get into the community. And Fran kind of has me doing that.
Really?
And it's phenomenal, the number of places we were at yesterday. We were at 3 YMCAs, 3 boys and girls clubs, the diaper bank, we were all over the city, and that's all because of Fran's vision of what he wants to do in Syracuse. He wants this community to be a community.
And that's so important. And you also touched on recruiting, and we won't get too deep into it, but you talked about the Jersey connection. Obviously, that's why he's found so much success there. But at a school like Syracuse, right, in the ACC, it's so important to dominate your region in terms of recruiting in order to not get left behind with the Penn States of the world. And likewise, you have to dominate the Northeast. And we've heard that sentiment echoed so much by the recruiting staff. What can you say about the Northeast focus that he's brought as well?
It's blatantly obvious.
Yeah.
I can say that it's blatantly obvious that he loves the Northeast. He's from the Northeast. And most people are going to be happy to say where they're from, as I was earlier. But we're going to win New York. We're going to win Pennsylvania. We're going to win New Jersey. And then Boston and on over to the New England states. That's going to be ours too. And because we work at a different level. That's what it comes down to. And we care at a different level also.
Well, we're excited to see what's to come. Last thing on that community note, because I know you mentioned you're involved with that. It's your job to sort of set up, some of the ways that the Syracuse football players can immerse into the community. In that part of your role this year, what's the thing that makes you the most proud?
I would have to say that every single week, right now in this time of the season, every single week we're somewhere impacting lives on Wednesdays. Every Wednesday we're out in the community somewhere. So you got 100 guys putting in, 200 hours a week. You know what I'm saying? You save 2 hours each guy. Now you got 200 hours a week. Who else is doing that? But then you run it back with more hours on Saturdays, and then guys doing their own thing. So you can easily guesstimate that 250 to 300 hours a week is being volunteered to help the community, and that's unbelievable.
By doing these things now, who are these men going to become?
That's what it comes down to. That's what it ultimately comes down to. Who do you become? And you become a man like the men that you've seen. We often say a child can't be what a child can't see. Well, Fran is demonstrating that, what type of man you ought to be. Mike Johnson, Elijah Robinson, Nick Williams, these guys are demonstrating it day after day of the type of man you ought to become. And so the praying together, just think about the number of men praying together and then going out and working together.
I think
it's special.
I think we saw that in action this year as well. I remember a conversation that I had with Jackson Meeks during fall camp, and he was talking about how, a lot of these players don't have a positive male role model in their lives, and Fran and your staff is set out to kind of change that and to be that person for a lot of these guys. But I think that's how you develop and grow that family, and now Meeks and others are going to go on to the NFL, but they'll always remember at Syracuse those positive influences, so to speak.
Super excited for Jackson Meeks to have his story is a very special story, to come here and then worked with Ross Douglas, who was obviously the Patriots receiver coach, and he absolutely understands how to take a young man from where he's at to where he wants to go. And Jackson Meeks came up here and had the year of his life, and now he's got a really good shot of doing the things that he's only dreamed of.
Yeah, I think Meeks is the perfect example of what Syracuse can offer to recruits, right? He's at Georgia, he doesn't play for 3 years, and then he comes up here, and now he's getting NFL draft looks. He's out there in the East-West Shrine Bowl, really doing amazing stuff. So I think Jackson Meeks is the prototype for what Syracuse football can offer in the transfer portal and to recruits as well.
Do you know what position Jackson Meeks play?
Wide receiver.
Okay. All right.
You think I didn't know?
No, I knew you knew. I just wanted you to say it.
He's just being smart. He's a wide receiver coach. That's all that.
I understand.
This guy. Well, I guess my last question on that note, and thinking about some of these guys who are already graduated and who will always be a part of Fran Brown's first season, which of course is special in its own right. What standard do you think that they set?
It's a great question, but we can say they set a standard of 10-3, but it's bigger than that. They set real, true, genuine leadership, from Kyle McCord to LaQuint Allen to Elijah Cinco Clark. I mean, all those guys, Jackson Meeks, all those guys that were on that front row, all those guys that led the team at their respective positions. Aronde Gasson, I haven't said his name enough. I mean, the type of leadership that he brought to the tight end room. Just go out there and work. He was a professional before he's a professional. And so they all work with a level of continuity and consistency that you need to be successful.
And I know this might be difficult to say now, but along those same lines, right, with a guy like Kyle, who was only here for 1 year, a guy like Jackson Meeks, that was only here for 1 year, I think they have such a special connection to Syracuse. I know it's tough to predict, and they're going to go on to the NFL and to chase those dreams now, but do you see guys like a Kyle McCord staying involved with the Syracuse program in the future?
Absolutely. He laid another coat to the foundation. The phenomenal tradition, the phenomenal foundation that's been laid over the 140 years, of football that's been Syracuse football. But they came in and put on a new top coat. And now we're going to continue to build from there. So thank you to those guys. I'll just say it publicly. Thanks, guys. Y'all done a lot for our university.
We got one or two more questions for the football crew, and then we'll let you guys get out of here. I see Lawrence Moten over there. Can someone, while we're doing these questions, maybe go grab Lawrence Moten? He's the next guest, so I want to make sure he's prepped and ready to go. In the meantime, though, Mungro, obviously, like I said, your attitude has shifted, man, from a year ago or 2 years ago to now. It's a whole new you. It's a very positive you compared to the you we've seen in the past. I just want to know, when you think, looking ahead, into the future. Listen, it's a tough schedule. I don't know if I'd put money, honestly, on the fact that they win 10 games next season, but I'd love to know how you feel. It's okay. You can come back at me, Maddux.
Well, to be honest with you, with the leadership that they have at the top, it's all like as Maddux spoke about it. It's leadership at the top, and all I see is positiveness. Because when you have a strong leader like Coach Brown, and he brings everybody else's echo and exactly what Coach is saying to the players, it's just going to make the organization a lot stronger. So, yes, we had a great season, but, again, as Coach is sitting next to me, he's not satisfied. I mean, the goal is to win the whole thing at the very end. And you chip away at it, and we're taking big chips out of that. We're not taking small chips, we're taking big chips, making big moves in a short amount of time. So, I'm really excited for next year. I'm thankful that Mr. Maddux came out, spent some time with us. He's a great guy, and he's a person that I've always looked up to. And, to be able to follow his footsteps to play that shoe, it's been great.
Hey, man, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it, both of you guys. That was our football segment. We got basketball coming up in just a minute or two. But, again, really excited about the future. And Syracuse is lucky to have you both as a part of the program.
Thank you so much.
All right, we'll see you guys around.
Thank you.
Thank you.
While Moten is getting set up, let's continue to talk, you and me, because I see him coming around right now. Our football segment, different than our basketball segment, as many of you know. Syracuse football, a program headed in a really, really good direction. Syracuse basketball is struggling.
Yeah, a tale of two programs, obviously. I think you can see the stark difference between even, in this community, how people feel about basketball right now, how people feel about football right now. There's such a palpable energy around the football team, and the basketball team, as we saw last night, could not be further from that right now.
That's why, of course, we had to bring in our next special guest. Taking a little bit of time to get ready and get set up, but it's going to be Lawrence Moten. He's a former SU legend. He's somebody who has been important to this program for a really long time, and honestly, he's had some conflicting thoughts about what should happen in the future of Syracuse basketball. So here he is. Round of applause for Lawrence Moten, everybody. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. Hi, Moten, aka Poetry. How's it going? Thanks for waiting around.
Not a problem, not a problem.
Oh, and the best voice in all of Syracuse, by the way.
We saved the best for last, didn't we?
I like it.
All right, Moten. So we wanted to bring you here for a few reasons, obviously, but have to start right here. You saw the game last night. What'd you think about that?
Were you watching? Did you turn it off? Walk me through your viewing experience.
Watching. I'm a diehard, so I'm going to watch it till the end, no matter what. I bleed orange, and all of you should bleed orange also. We're going through some tough times right now, but I'm gonna bring it on a positive level, and I'm gonna say something that I saw on a positive note. I like the big center played very well.
Naheem McLeod.
Naheem McLeod played very well, and hopefully he gets more opportunities, and we just got to move forward. It was against a great team. We were good for the first 10 minutes of the game.
That's a pro.
Yeah, first 10 minutes of the game, and then, they hit 3 back-to-back threes, and it went all downhill. So we just got to move forward. But I can say one thing, ladies.
All right.
What's very important is that we finish in the top 11 or 12 where we can go to the ACC tournament, because that'll be our NCAAs.
That's what we were going to touch on with you, right? That bubble right now.
Yes, that bubble. That bubble is not looking good, but as long as we can stay afloat, and try to finish up where we get to go to the ACC tournament, and then the tournament time, anything happens.
Why don't you explain that bubble and what we're sort of talking about here?
Sure. So beginning this season, this is actually a new rule implemented by the conferences this year. The bottom 3 teams do not go to the ACC tournament in North Carolina. So it's only the top 15 teams. Now, Syracuse, if the season ended today, would be there. They're actually 4th from the bottom in the standings. So right on that bubble, right on that line. Of course, not the bubble that they want to be on, not the bubble that they're used to being on. If the season ended today, they would be there. But in order to avoid the worst record in the Jim Boeheim era, they have to win 6 of their remaining 8 games, which is going to be a tough challenge. I'm not going to lie.
6 of their remaining 8?
6 of the remaining 8 games to tie the worst record of the Jim Boeheim era, which was 16-17, which was in 2021.
Moten, I'm sorry, it's not happening.
Think positive.
6 out of 8.
Stay positive. Stay positive.
It's
going to be tough.
Ashley,
it's going to be tough. Let's keep it real.
Well, we have the remaining schedule here, right? They host Boston College on Saturday. Then they go to Miami. They play UNC, Pittsburgh again, NC State, Virginia Tech, SMU, and Virginia. And to me, I only look at a few of those and confidently say that they're winnable games. I mean, Miami, bottom of the standings, Boston College right there with Syracuse towards the bottom. But then you still have to play teams like an SMU, like a UNC, who isn't the North Carolina of old, but is still, a top-tier program. I guess, what would you say, if you were the coach right now, messaging-wise, for those last 8 games?
What I would say from the list that you read to me, was those were all winnable games. I heard Miami, I heard NC State. Who else did you say?
Virginia Tech, Pittsburgh.
All winnable games. All winnable games.
The standings might disagree with you.
Yeah, the standings are going to disagree with me, and I can understand that. But honestly, those are all winnable games. Those teams that you named, they aren't as good as us. They have better maybe players right now, but they're not making any noise, that big of noise.
I guess what's most alarming, right, from a fan perspective, is not even the records, it's not even the numbers, it's just the, I guess, lack of attendance. I mean, average attendance has dropped 14% since last year. The Dome had just over 23,000 last night for Duke, which is A lot in the scheme of college
Look, that's
basketball,
what's more alarming.
but not a lot in the scheme of the Duke game at Syracuse. I think it's the competitiveness for fans, and I guess just the feeling that fans were left with last night was that the chasm between a program like Duke right now, ranked second in the country, and a Syracuse is wider than ever. I guess that's what's so alarming to people, and that is what the gap, I guess, that they'd like to see closed. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that. Everything that you said actually makes a lot of sense, but, as a realist right now, our team is struggling, and we just have to just come together and try to play harder and try to win games. That's all we can try to do, like I told you guys earlier. One of the things that you don't want to do is listen to the media and try to let that deter you into negativity. So as long as you can try to stay positive as a coach, which is going to be hard, but that's what you have to do.
And we're admitting, we're a part of the media. We try our hardest not to get caught up in too many of the narratives, but I also think there's a difference between the media just propelling out negative narratives versus there being a reason to feel negativity. And I'm going to push back a little bit because I really do think in this instance, with Syracuse basketball and the way things have been going, it's tough times to be a fan. Last night, for instance, right, fans are, according to Ashley, because she was there at the game, walking out with 5 minutes left.
Yes.
That's embarrassing.
Yes.
That's embarrassing. That's not the Syracuse basketball program that most fans know, love, and more importantly, grew up with.
Yeah.
Something does need to change. I'm not sure exactly what it needs to be, but I want to return around to a question that we talked about a couple weeks ago, where Moten, you had said, 3 to 5 years, that's how long that a coach needs to change the culture.
Right.
But if things continue on this path, losing and losing badly, would you still feel that way?
Absolutely. Any coach needs 3 to 5 years to create his own style of play and the way he wants to coach. But we know in this day and age it's very hard. It's maybe 1 or 2 years, and if you're not doing the job, you're out of there. But for a guy like Adrian Autry, who's a brother of mine, he bleeds orange, 3 to 5 years.
You agree with that, Ashley?
Well, I know we've talked about this on the Orange Zone a number of times, right? Obviously, they have a top 10 recruiting class in the country coming in next year. Kyan Anthony, son of Carmelo Anthony, Sadiq White. And that's exciting to people. I think Autry has shown that he has the recruiting piece. I think now it's about putting together the product on the court. I think there are fans that would be reluctant to let Autry go in terms of then what happens to the recruiting class.
What do you think? Do you lose those recruits if Autry leaves? How connected is that? I really can't tell.
I'm not sure, because you look at a kid like Kyan Anthony, whose lead recruiter was Jerry McNamara back when he was younger. Obviously, Jerry McNamara, now the coach at Siena, no longer there. I can't speak to how those kids feel personally about Autry and, if he were to stay, if he were to go, how much that would impact their decision. But obviously that's a big conversation and keeping him around for a third season. And I think, Moten, that is a part of why you've spoken so much about the fact that you believe he deserves a third year.
Yeah, he definitely deserves a third year. If anything, this next year with all of his recruits and the guys that he is bringing in, you'll get to see, hopefully, a better team. I think from what I've seen as far as the incoming freshmen, it will be a better team. But it all starts, Ashley and Sam, I look at it now, it's all about the NIL and how much money you can give these players, and we have the funds. I truly think
you feel confident in saying
I truly think that Syracuse has the funds, but we just have to figure out a way of having the right people understand how to give away those funds.
Yeah, I think we've talked so extensively about the football culture, right? The DART that Fran Brown has implemented. We've talked about this on the podcast. At any point with Syracuse football, you can turn to DART, you can say, this is an acronym, we know what it stands for, we know what he's implementing. You can hear from the coaching staff. How many times do they quote that? Detailed, accountable, relentless, and tough. For basketball, it's a tougher thing. Autry promotes this orange standard. I know I've been in the locker room, asking guys like a J.J. Starling and Eddie Lampkin, what is the orange standard? What does that mean to you? I think to your point that you've made on earlier episodes, the orange standard under Adrian Autry is still something that we're trying to figure out. It's an identity that we're still trying to grasp in a sense.
Absolutely, and that's what it's about. this is his first year officially as a head coach. So you're going to have to go through your growing pains. Right now, he's going through the growing pains. It's all about having a good coaching style and understanding how you want to run your team. And right now, it's still in shambles. And hopefully he gets that together, and I know he will. I have confidence in Adrian, and we'll see how far they go. But at the end of the day, you know and I know, it's all about winning, and that's in any sport. If you're not winning, there will be change.
And we know how frustrated he is. He actually spoke to one of our news anchors, Michael Benny, at I believe, Book Buddies event a couple weeks ago. And we heard he was very candorous in that interview and talking about how long he's been a part of this community and obviously how much Syracuse and Syracuse basketball means to him. He is more frustrated than anyone. I think you can see that reflected in his post-game press conferences. I mean, last night he was obviously extremely unhappy. I think it's just about, what do you say at this point? What do you get up there after you lose by 29 to Duke at home and say, genuinely?
I don't know, but not what he said. Something better than that. Like you said, the identity, we're having a hard time grasping it. An identity shouldn't be hard to grasp. It's an identity.
Yeah.
Like, what is the Orange Standard and what does it stand for? Last night, he ultimately got up there, apologized for some of the players' performance, which is a tune we've heard time and time again, but then doubled down and actually blamed the college landscape because it's changing so much, which again is something Moten brought up, and I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
NIL, transfer portal, all of that is changing the landscape of college athletics. But he's not the only team that's had to deal with that. Duke has had to deal with that too, and look where they're at. Fran Brown had to deal with that too. Look where they're at. I'm not pretending that I've ever been a head coach of a program. Do I think that Archer deserves more than this year to prove himself? Maybe. He's putting a lot of time there, and it would make me feel legitimately sad to see that go awry. But his press conferences aren't making me feel inspired, tantalized even.
Yeah.
Love the use of the word tantalizer.
Gotcha.
Well, one of the things, you have to have personality, but at the same time, you have to be real. And for what you're saying, Sam, I haven't seen his interviews or anything, but he's not showing really any personality.
I just want a heart.
Yeah,
and I feel like you
The
understand that.
fire, absolutely.
I want fire.
Yeah. Well, I know one thing, and it's hard for me. I might seem like a chill guy, but if we lose by 30, I might be throwing things in the locker room, just to keep it real. That's just, I'm a winner.
But that means you care.
Yeah. And he cares.
I know
he
that.
Cares.
I know that.
He truly cares. But like you said, we still don't know the standard and the Syracuse standard of what they want to and who they want to be. And we're still trying to figure that out. And it's tough. It's hard for all of us. Like I said, this is something that's new for a lot of people as far as Syracuse basketball and not winning, and not having wins, and the record that we are right now is very tough. It's very tough. But, you go back to the football. You just had a football guy here. They had 20 years or 15 years of bad times.
I mean, that's a good point.
So it's almost like a flip the scale. We might have to go through a little growing pains, and I don't want to go through it that long, though. Let's get that straight. I do not want to go through it that long. But we have to go through a little growing pains, and I truly think next year we'll have better players.
And we can see evidence of that with the recruiting class, and hopefully that does pan out on the court. But I think that's just what's so scary to Syracuse fans right now about the direction that this program is headed. We've talked about it. Last year, he comes in here as a first-year head coach. They don't make the tournament, so that's not the standard of Syracuse basketball, but at least they win 20 games. So, all right, you can point to that.
Yeah.
You win 20 games, it's his first year as a head coach. To see such a backslide this year, whether that's due to talent, whether that's due to culture, as we talked about, that's what's scary, and I think made scarier by the fact that then, like he said last night, college is different. It's not what it used to be. Well, is Syracuse men's basketball going to get left behind in the changing landscape of college basketball, or are they going to join in? And I think that's where Syracuse fans are kind of left grasping at straws right now. Is this team that is so storied and has such a legacy of greatness going to get left behind?
Yeah. Well, I don't think we're going to get left behind. I hope not. But it's all about recruiting and recruiting the player that fits our style, of player. And that's going to start with Adrian, Autry as the head coach, and Alex as the GM, you know, those guys are really going to have to buckle down and do their homework. And then another thing that's really important that people need to understand, with this 5 and 4 star stuff, what about the diamond in the rough?
Yeah.
Nobody thought Lawrence Moten was going to be the all-time leading scorer at Syracuse. You know, you still have to look at those players too, you know, who are hungry and just want to give it their all. So, you know, I'm big when it comes to just studying, and I feel like I'm a good student of the game as far as recruiting. You got to recruit the right player that'll fit your style, and that's the way it is.
And we talked about on previous episodes how, in your opinion, you think the struggles this year are more due to culture issues than talent. Would you say that's still true?
Yeah, culture issues, little talent, and you know it's hard when you don't know. You know, even as a fan, just think of it as a fan. What's very hard now is it's hard for a fan to fall in love with a player because they don't even know if he's going to be here next year. So, you know, it's a little different now. So you just gotta. It's tough. It's tough for everybody. It's truly tough for everybody. But it all starts with recruiting the right players. We say we have the money. We just gotta show it, and we gotta have people that are going to make the right decisions. That's another thing. Sometimes the decisions that are being made, you know, kind of make you shake your head.
I think that was exemplified last night, too, with a guy like Malik Brown, right? A guy like Malik Brown, an all-ACC defender, through 2 seasons at Syracuse. You see him transfer to Duke in the offseason, and then you see him come out and do what he did last night. I mean...
Kadari Richmond and St. John's.
Right. We say that Syracuse has the resources. Syracuse, Autry preaches that they have the resources. But if that were the case, why is Malik Brown going to Duke and he's not interested in staying at Syracuse? I know every player has their own...
Because Duke's awesome.
Well,
and they're the number 2 team in the country. I don't think it's all about the money. I agree. Like, he definitely got a bag by going there. But, I mean, he looked like he made a good decision last night.
But
quite honestly.
he also said that was his dream school, if you guys didn't know that. So
there
that's a big
are always
reason
other
to want to go
factors at
somewhere.
play. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I really don't think it's just about the money. Maybe he thought he'd be a better fit there. And granted, he's not starting, but he is the best player they have off the bench, and it's not close.
Yeah.
Like, the commentator last night called him the Secretary of Defense. Thought it was just so awesome.
Very funny.
But so true. I mean, he was an assassin out there.
Yeah.
He looked like somebody Syracuse needed. That's what he looked like.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We missed him for sure.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking about a guy who just played the game the right way, you know, played with passion, but he had a calm spirit about him. And, you know, if anything I could say, you know, former Syracuse player, you know, played very well, but I hate it. I truly hate it as far as guys leaving us. I'm a little biased, but leaving Syracuse and going somewhere else, you know, go all the way Quincy Guerrier, all of these guys are, you know, it's a new wave now, and it's just the way of college sports and sports in general with, you know, these younger guys are finding a way to make money, and I don't disagree with that, but the loyalty and the tradition is gone, ladies and gentlemen. So let's just keep it real. The loyal and tradition is gone.
And I think that's what Autry and his staff to some extent have struggled with as well, right? I said that he's had the recruiting piece. He's had the recruiting piece out of high school. In this day and age with the transfer portal, you have to re-recruit your own team to come back every single year. And that's where we've seen him struggle in some senses.
Yeah. 100%. We're going to have 1 or 2 questions for Moten, then we are going to go into our small but mighty Q&A portion. So if we could have Ryan Joyce get the mic and bring it over to this crowd, we'd love to get some questions from you all, so start thinking of a couple. In the meantime, just 1 or 2 more questions for Moten, because we really appreciate you being here. You mentioned loyalty, you know. Why is that so important to you, and why are you so upset that it's gone now? Like, of course, the landscape is changing, but what makes you so upset about that, you know?
Well, I don't want to say upset. I would use another word, frustrated.
Sure.
A little bit of frustrated, you know, because, you know, I'm from the old school, you know, where guys do 3 to 4 years at that college. And, you get to know the fans and you get to know the community and all of that. You know, I'm a community guy. You know, my mother always told me, no matter what school you decide to go to, get to know the people in the town, and I was blessed to do that. So I'm big on that. And then loyalty comes with trust. So, you know, if you're loyal, you're trustworthy. So I'm big on that, and those days are over. Let's just keep it real. You know, we do not know the 12 to 15 guys who are going to be here next year. I look at Bell. I think he's gone.
Donnie Freeman.
Please don't say that.
Hopefully not. I'm just asking. That was a question.
I hope not. I hope not. But you know, Chopper, who I like.
Same.
So you know, but you look at positions with Carmelo Anthony's son coming, and you know, it's hard. It's tough.
Anything else that you have for Moten before we let him go? Or Moten, you're welcome to stay around for the Q&A if they ask some basketball questions. You got anything else for Moten?
I think that's it. I mean, I think we touched on it. Obviously, it's a difficult topic right now to kind of get a scope of, because it's in such a dark place. But like you said, Moten, I mean, there's 8 games left on the schedule. Hopefully, at least we see an ACC tournament berth, right?
Big. That's all we should be thinking about right now. You know, of course, we're taking it one game at a time. But those 8 teams that you read, you can't tell me we can't get 5 out of the 8.
Well, you need 6.
You know, 6?
6. That's all we'll think about.
Yeah, but at the same time, let's get in this ACC tournament, and then whatever happens, happens. But we definitely do not want to finish at the bottom where we don't even get an invitation. That will leave a bad taste in everybody's mouth.
I think that's well said. Give it up for Lawrence Moten, SU basketball great. Thank you so much for joining us.
If anyone has basketball questions, I think we should keep
Moten, as long as you're cool to stick around for a couple minutes, we'll have you here. Let's go out to the audience now with a couple questions. Who has a question?
Hey, I don't know if you guys can hear me. Big fans of the Orange Zone over here. I got a question for Lawrence. You were around in Syracuse basketball's heyday. What do you think the culture is missing right now? That we have people walking out of the stadium with 15 minutes left in the second half. Clearly, the city's not bought in, the fans are not bought in, and quite frankly, the players might not be bought in. What is the culture missing right now, and what do you hope to see them add as they go forward?
Oh, that's a great question, buddy. The culture. That's a big word, you know, because like I said, you know, I think because of this the new wave of the transfer portal and guys are not staying at schools 2 and 3 years, that changes the culture of a university, to be honest with you. You know, and I'm going back to when I was playing. Like you said, you enjoyed, you know, our times. You know, I was guaranteed to be there for 3 years. I did 4. I was guaranteed to be there for 3. But nowadays, it's very hard with these guys, and you don't know who's going to be there the following year. As far as the fans, you know, it's sad to see, you know, because we have a great arena, the JMA / the Dome. You know, when people think about Syracuse, you know, that's one of the first things they think about is the Carrier Dome. So, you know, I tell people all the time, fans have a lot to do with team success. I don't care what anybody say. Let me say it again. Fans have a lot to do with team success. So basically, when the fans trickle down and leave, it's not giving us that positive motivation to want to do well for you.
Appreciate that. We'll go to the next question.
I actually have a question, if you guys don't mind me asking. I grew up in Syracuse, and the culture of Syracuse sports very much revolved around basketball at that time. Now, having football kind of take a little bit of a precedence almost in terms of success and fan support and all of that, how do you feel that, I guess the question would be, would you give up that football support to get the basketball back, having it kind of be the root of this athletic program in a lot of ways?
Not at all. For the simple fact that you're looking at somebody who, the reason why I came to Syracuse, a lot of people don't know, but the reason why I came to Syracuse is because of one guy. And to this day, he still doesn't get the credit that he deserves. I call him the real number 5. His name was Marvin Graves. He was the starting quarterback. We went to high school together. He was the pitcher, point guard, and quarterback on my high school team. He's the only player in Syracuse history in football to go to 3 bowls and get MVP in every bowl. So my point is, when I was here, both teams were winning. So we can still do that. Why can't we, get back to that? I love what Fran is doing. He's doing a great job with the football program, and he's in the community. That's another thing. People want to see you in the community and show the love, and that's how they give the love back. So I remember the good times, and why can't we do it again? We had, during our times in the 90s, football and basketball was doing very well. So hopefully we can get back to that.
You have anything to add on that one? I also would say no too. I think it is possible to get the funding for both, but ultimately it's tough because people want to give funding once they see a winning team. So what comes first? It's hard because in this day and age, Moten is right. You, in a sense, need funding to create a winning team, but people don't want to give money to a team that's losing. So I think that's where Moten's saying the loyalty and the fan support and truly just believing in the coach and the mission and the program is important. At the same time, I think that onus and accountability does fall on the coach a little bit to make people believe. So hopefully that's something Adrian Autry can do in the future. We'll go to the next question.
Also have a question. If you guys were given the keys to the program tomorrow, what is the first thing you would do to turn the basketball program around?
Be more visible. I'd be more visible, and I'd be more honest. I think that the way that you connect with people, especially people who aren't necessarily really sports fans, maybe they are just a little bit interested in the program, is you're personable. And I think that's something that Fran Brown did really well. It seems silly, but those winners get washed and the one-liners, those are the kinds of things that made people fall in love with Fran Brown. He's also the kind of person who cares about the community, not just the fans, not just people who care about sports, but every single person who lives in Syracuse and loves this place. Because of that, I think people really want to give their everything to him because they know in return they'll get a coach that cares about the entire community. That's something that I want to see.
Yeah, kind of to build off of that, I don't think it's just personality. I think it's transparency, like we were talking about when the football staff was up here. I think the reason why, take a Dino Babers, people weren't willing to, believe in him. When he said things, people didn't buy in because they felt like they didn't know Dino Babers. That's a piece. I don't know if people feel like they know Adrian Autry, even though he's a guy who's been around this town for 30 years.
Yeah, absolutely. And at the end of the day, like Sam said, it's about being in the community, letting them see your face, letting them see how personable you are, and get to know you as a real person, But if I had the keys, first of all, I would thank everybody for this opportunity, and I would let them know, that I'm here to coach and give it my all. Coaches, I tell people all the time, players play to the style of their coach. If you have a fiery coach, you're going to have a fiery team. If you have a relaxed coach, sometimes you're going to have a relaxed team. But I'm definitely going to let the fans and the players know that I'm here to win. I want to have a winning tradition, and we move forward from there. Great question.
That was a great question. We have time for one more if anyone else has a question. If not, we'll wrap it up.
Right along.
Okay. Well, I want to thank everybody again so much for your time, for being here today, for listening. Not just the people who are here at Apex, but also if you were watching on YouTube, if you have supported us at any point in the process. This is something that we started a couple years ago, and I'm going to give a nod to one of the true founders, Tommy Sladek, our former sports director, who's no longer here. He's moved on to bigger and better things. But he's somebody who really helped to make this program what it's become. And, of course, Lawrence Moten, James Mungro, anyone who has supported us along the way, the people who set this up, everybody behind the scenes who you don't even see. We really appreciate every single thing that you've done. So thank you so much for coming. And as always, we'll see you when the next big thing happens. That's Ashley Wenskowski, Lawrence Moten. I'm Samantha Croston. We'll see you next time. Thanks.
Cool.